Good evening and welcome to Virginia's Views and Vibes. I'm your host, Ginny Gardner. And before we start tonight, I just want to remind everybody that September 11th is just around the corner. And as you all know, here in Newton, we remember September 11th. Every September 11th at 6 o'clock at the Newton headquarters of the fire department on Center Street. And this year, our keynote speaker will be Anthony Amore. He has agreed to come back. And one of the things that I think is very important to do is to always remember the 8 people from Newton that were murdered that day. And I just am briefly going to read their names before we start. Richard Ross, Nicholas Humber, Mark Barvis, Amy Toyan, Rama Sally, her unborn baby, and her husband Mickey, Paige Farley Hackle, Aaron Jacobs, Stuart Meltzer, and some of these named will have family there, and they'll say a few words about their loved one. So with that, I just want to also say, if you have young children, one of the books that I think is one of the best books is Man in the Red Bandana. It is written by John Carruthers. He's the father of Wells Remy Carruthers, and it's an interesting story even for children, and it's very appropriate. So I hope if you have young children, this would be a book for you to get. So my guest tonight is a dear friend, old friend, and she is, has her own show for 33 years in Waltham, around the town. It's also seen not just in Waltham, but some surrounding towns and on YouTube now. City councilor, former city councilor, business owner, the Tea Leaf in Waltham for just about 18 years, 17, 18 years. And my good friend, Sally Callura, welcome.
Thank you for having me back on.
It's always fun.
We always seem to do the switch, like you come on my show and I go on your show. And I think community access television is exceptionally beneficial because we can talk about things that we're going to talk about. And having my own show, it's like a variety of things. Yeah. It can be politics, it can be upcoming events, that sort of thing. So to the community and beyond, it's very beneficial. And now with the new technology, you can copy the link and you can send it around the world.
Yes. To
people around the world. Yes. I think it's, I think it's a great way of communicating in this time period that we have, you know.
It's fascinating.
Yeah.
It really is. And now you're on YouTube, I believe.
I am a couple of my shows, but I'm going to be hosting, I'm going to be putting more on. Yeah. But when you go to the Waltham channel on their webpage, the shows are listed only for a certain period of time, really? 3 months, because of the capacity that they are able to fill in that on that page. Yeah. So I try to get it out as fast as possible because I've done fundraisers. People come on as a guest to promote their important events, and you want to get that word out there too.
Yeah, I agree. I think whether you're Newton, Waltham, Wayland, a lot of this touches everybody. They all feel, if you're talking about the new zoning, if you're talking about housing, we basically do that whatever town. It's important, and that brings us to this time of year, the election and the climate and what people are feeling. And you and I have both talked about, I feel, the most important thing, there are 3, if I had to say which 3 of my list when I think about voting, my 3 are the economy, crime, and the border, and then I have to say fentanyl, but that's the border. All of those things, and I know you have a list too. And
you and I are pretty much in tune with one another as far as what's happening across America. I would say that the reason for most of what's happening, number 1, is the wall. Because people are coming over in by the hundreds of thousands, the millions, and they're coming over, and no one is upholding our law, our Constitution. They're not upholding our lawmakers are turning a blind eye, putting blinders on, and all they're focusing on is November 5th.
Right.
And they're not focusing on doing their job now. And by evidence,
Right.
with Kamala Harris saying all the things she will do on day one.
Yeah.
What about the last 1,000 plus?
But Sally, day one is today. Day one is today. If she can do that, why would you wait
Right.
till January?
That's the point.
She's right now running the country, we think, and
Or somebody else.
it is day one.
Yeah.
If you're going to roll back prices,
Right.
do it today.
Yeah.
If you're going to let waitresses and waiters, get their tips without being taxed, do it today. If you're going to make gasoline and open up fracking,
Yeah, but she
do
stole
it
that
today.
claim.
Of course
Yeah,
she did.
She
Of
stole
course
that
she
claim.
did.
The fracking issue,
Yeah.
now she's kind of, on shaky ground there because she kind of wants to, if you'll vote for her.
Yeah. My question is, and I can answer it myself, she's saying tipping, she's saying fracking, she's saying borders. If she was going to do it, she'd do it now. It's just a stump speech. It's just this, I'm going to do it, and she doesn't mean it. She can't mean it.
No, she doesn't mean it.
She can't mean it.
She doesn't mean
the
it.
borders are wide open. If you don't have borders, you don't have a country. And I think both of us feel this way. People coming in legally, we want them here. We want them here working. But the people that have been released from the jails and where they need mental help and things like the violent people that they say to them, go, and if you try and come back, you'll throw you in jail and then we'll kill you. Those are the people we don't want. There's nothing going on at the border to check people out. And it presents a very dangerous lifestyle here for all of us. You live in Waltham, and I'm out in Wayland now. And when I go running now, I make sure I have pepper spray.
You keep that pepper spray. I do it walking
Right in my
across
hand. Yes.
the parking lot to
In your
get to my
hand.
front door.
I keep it in my hand, and I have my finger on the button, because sometimes I'm where it's a very isolated road, and people drive down it, and you're thinking, I could be out here by myself, and my phone is also ready to dial 911. But just the fact that we feel like that.
I know. It's
Just
an
the fact
uneasy
that we
feeling.
feel like
And it's
that.
almost a normal thing with us now.
Yes.
And if I can say something that my guy friend said to me, and I'll tell you my list of importance.
Yeah.
It's all energy driven.
Yeah.
So what did Biden do when he first came in? I want your viewers to really pay attention to some of the things that we discuss here.
Yeah.
Because he shut down the Keystone pipeline.
Yes, day
He
one.
shut down the pipeline near the down south. He shut that off, and that carries the oil up to gasoline or whatever, up to the states that he promised.
Yeah.
He promised those lawmakers that they wouldn't be affected. Well, everybody's affected.
Yeah.
So I think sometime thereafter he opened up that pipeline, but I don't even know if that's working.
Yeah, I
So
don't know.
our oil reserves are at an all-time low. We're buying oil from other countries that don't have a process to get us clean oil.
Right.
Clean oil. That's like turning your faucet on and having brown water come out, and they say, but that's okay, you can drink that. You can put that in your cup. And we're also concerned about the emissions, about the environment. We don't have to worry about that because we could be in jeopardy if we don't do some really good connecting and thinking. We could have a nuclear war.
Yes. We're on the verge of World
And
War
with
III.
all these countries that are fighting amongst themselves,
Yeah.
and what happened on October 7th was totally unacceptable. My little niece, her husband, and their 2 children were there for the holiday, and you could hear the bombs going, the rockets going off, and it just awful.
Yeah.
And they got out of there. So So public safety, international peace,
Yeah.
but in our country, it's oil-driven,
Yeah.
it's gasoline-driven, it's, electric.
Yeah.
Our grids are important
Oh.
to us. Our grids are important. And then when you get to the border, everybody's looking the other way.
Yeah.
And for Kamala Harris to steal everything she's going to fix that Trump has said
Yeah.
weeks before, months before.
Yeah.
And anyone else doing that in the dreaded private sector would call that plagiarism.
That's
If you-
right. That's right. And,
Yeah.
and why are the journalists not reporting that? Why are they're looking at Kamala Harris, who was border czar, by the way. She said it, it's documented. They called her that. The press called her that. And now they're introducing, it's almost like a theater. It's almost like an actress. So you're going to a Broadway show, introducing Kamala Harris. She's new and she has
And stage
ideas.
fright.
And yeah, right. She hasn't said much. She hasn't said much. But it's so, I feel like sometimes that, especially Joe Biden's exit, which I think is horrendous, the way they just said,
Toss
kicked
him
him out.
elder abuse,
Yep.
number one.
Kicked him right out. You're
Yep.
done, Joe. You're done.
Yeah.
Not even to let him finish his term. You're done.
Right.
And then gave their convention is nothing short of unconstitutional. And I don't know how Democrats are going there thinking this is how we elect presidents. I'm shocked. By the way, they have to get through a wall and show their ID to get into that convention. So that speaks volumes. The law is not for them.
Yeah, yeah. I have a couple of friends that are Democrats that are going. They're already there, and tonight's the opening night. I'm going to watch the whole thing like I watched the entire Republican convention. I like to compare. I turn on CNN and I turn on MSNBC. If there's a particular thing that's in the news, I flip to all the stations because I like to see how they're doing the reporting. And I will tell you, Democrats out there, turn on CNN and MSNBC. They're starting now to think about who is going to be the best.
Wow.
Who is the best person for the Oval? They can see the inept candidate that they shoved in there and sent Joe to the beach. I mean, how embarrassing that he's going to speak tonight and then he's leaving.
Yeah.
And he's got nothing to do. But yet, and you haven't heard or seen Kamala Harris cackling. She hasn't. When they let Joe go to the beach, she has not left. Everything has been presidential.
Yeah.
I don't know what they did to her, but I see a different Kamala Harris. But she's now looking at the teleprompter, and I can
Yes.
tell that's all she has.
Yes.
Is the teleprompter, because there were two words that she totally mispronounced.
Really?
Right? I can't think of the
I'll
two.
have to go back and look.
I know, I can't think of the two words, but it was like, oh
I
my
can't fault her
God.
for that, honestly, only because I can't get through a show without bloopers. So, I do kind of,
Oh
I
my
might cut her
gosh.
some slack, but you can tell she is reading the teleprompter. And then you have President Trump, of course, who speaks for 2 hours. And then after he speaks, in the middle of it, he'll say, I have to go off script because I've got to talk about this. And he goes right off. And that, I like that. I really do. And Carmela, again, she's been thrown into this position. I'm not sure what they promised her or what they told her or how this will be. But here's what I know. Everything she's saying, she could sit down with President Biden right now and by executive order stop
Yep.
the tipping, that taxing tips, close the borders, start fracking.
No tax on Social Security.
No tax on Social Security, absolutely. Absolutely. And you know what? I want to make that really clear because there's lies out there. I've heard President Trump, every time he speaks, he will not go after Social Security. He is not going to tax Social Security. I have not heard that from any Democratic candidate.
No.
That the fact that they attempt to blame Trump is the fact that they are doing it.
Right.
And that is just not the truth.
You know, if they raise the income tax by 1% and don't tax Social Security and don't tax tips, we would eventually be getting out of the hole we're in, the trillions and trillions of dollars. But if I could mention the farmland, you know, what's
Yes.
important to me.
Oh my
so
gosh, yes.
Keep track of the rest of my
Yes.
list.
Yes.
The farmland.
Oh my
I
gosh.
could not go to Sicily, which I love Sicily. But do you think I could just like go in there and buy up land without
you can buy a
without
house.
having to go through a whole process? Do you know
Yeah.
you can't buy a home in Bermuda unless it's on the Bermudian market for, I think it's like 6 or 8 months. And it has to be valued at, I know it used to be like 1.2 million or something. Now it's probably 2 million.
Yeah.
But you have no access to that
Right.
land. You can't just take a plane and, you know, look up the local realtor. You can't do that. But yet, you're Asian and you're Chinese, I'll say specifically, and you come in here and buy up all the land. Now, I'll make a comparison between the people from the southern border coming over. What I notice now, Ginny, the Asian folks are coming over, but they've got the rolling Gucci
Yes.
luggage.
Yes.
They never crossed the Rio Grande. So somebody is getting them over the border. I heard they're taking a flight to Mexico, and then
Yes.
somebody takes them by boat to Southern California,
Yeah.
and they're showing up there, and they're all waiting, standing there waiting to be processed.
Yeah.
Waiting for the
mostly
guys
men.
to come, and there's
Mostly
such a
men.
shortage of Border Patrol people that they're not showing up.
Mostly men, and they're buying
Crazy.
up farmland, our farmland. They're buying that up. They are buying land next to some of our military installations.
Yep.
And very, very gradually, our farmland should not be owned by anyone but a United States
Right.
citizen.
Exactly.
It's that simple, nothing else.
So
It is frightening.
Right.
It is frightening.
And so I understand that there's such a shortage over there. They're buying up the land here. They're going to grow their wheat and they're going to take it back there.
Yeah.
So
Or we're not going to have it, and we're going to be starving for it, or looking for it, or paying high price for it. And again, it goes back to, in many ways, the economy. And let's just talk a little bit about this, because I think everybody here, everybody listening, everybody knows you cannot go into, one of the grocery stores without looking at the price and saying, what just happened? Coffee. Coffee was about, when we got the big one, maybe $6. It is now up to $9. Peanut butter has jumped. Bagels. My husband's a big one for bagels. Bagels, what used to be $3, are now up to almost $5.50.
Yeah.
Everything you touch.
Everything.
Everything.
Yeah.
And you think about milk and the things you need every day. Milk, eggs have probably tripled.
yeah.
And that, to me, I don't know how young people, we're not even going out to eat anymore. We do takeout, but we don't go out that much anymore. It's just that much more that you have to take out of the budget. And the other big deal is I got my electric bill. And in the summer, nothing's on. The lights aren't on that long anymore. And, we cook outside. The cost of getting either gas or electricity into my house was $25.
Right.
The total bill was like $34.59. It cost to deliver it. I didn't use that much. I used probably $9 worth of gas.
Yeah.
But it was $25,
Yeah.
double, to get it into the house. And that's right now with the low price. I can't even think what it will cost this winter.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I really don't.
And what pumps mine up, because I'm mostly all electric in my apartment, is the air conditioning.
Yes.
And so I keep it on low because I don't like refrigeration that low. And this past month it was over 50.
Wow.
Over 50. Yeah.
That's a lot.
So if you're all electric, that counts
it's-
too.
yeah.
But imagine talking about that. They wanted people. It's communism.
Yeah.
It's socialism. It's
Right.
Marxism. They wanted to do away with the gas stove.
Yes.
And
they did
they're going to come and haul away your washer and dryer,
Yeah.
and then your dishwasher.
Yeah.
I know someone who had to wash the dishes twice to get them clean in her new dishwasher.
No way.
I know someone who did the laundry twice because the whites didn't come out. And when you squeeze it and there's still
Wet.
gray water coming out,
Yeah.
you have to run it through again.
Yeah.
So where's the freedom?
Well-
Where's our constitutional,
Yeah.
where are our freedoms and what's happening to it?
She's going to go into the grocery stores. When people hear this, I don't know how they can think about voting for the Kamala Walsh ticket. She wants to go into and make sure that the prices are kept low. What do you think is going to happen? That's socialism.
I was a retailer.
Right.
I had a tea room that I served afternoon high tea, and I had a gift shop
Yeah.
and a tea shop. After COVID, I cannot tell you how everything increased. Why?
Right.
Transportation.
Yeah.
They were backlogged. Remember all the ships in the
Yes, I
harbor
do, yeah.
on the East Coast, the West Coast,
Yeah.
and they couldn't unload the container ships?
Yeah.
Well, do you know I went to Restaurant Depot down there? 3 trips to Restaurant Depot just trying to get the big blocks of cream cheese, like 3 pounds.
Wow.
And I loaded up. I was hoarding all, on a lighter note, hoarding all the cream cheese. But seriously,
Yeah.
the bagel guy, one of the biggest bagel guys in New York City, drove his truck to like Vermont or somewhere.
No way.
With his own containers and went to where they make
Oh my gosh.
the cream cheese, because he owns a chain of bagel places in New York.
Wow.
So go figure. He had to go and get it himself because the container ships probably had all the plastic containers and, the cream cheese packaging and the milk packaging and everything. Where's it all printed? It's printed in China.
Yeah. Yes.
And we are
It's
at their
so
mercy.
silly. Yes, we are.
So
Not just
all
cream
you folks
cheese.
out there, really think about what you're
Yeah.
doing November 5th.
Not just cream cheese. Our medication
Medication too.
comes
Yeah.
from China.
Yeah.
And when President Trump says we have to stop manufacturing here, that's one of the things we have to do. If you're taking a blood pressure pill,
Mm-hmm.
a cholesterol pill, I think it's 80% of our medications are from China. If they wanted to say, we don't want to play with you guys anymore. You want to cut us off? Here's how we'll cut
Right.
you off. We don't have anything to make this medication with here.
Ginny, if they couldn't handle the lab,
Yeah.
if they couldn't handle the lab and somebody made a mistake, and I think somebody made a mistake in the lab, and Wuhan lab?
Wuhan,
Yeah,
yep.
Wuhan lab.
Yep, Wuhan.
Yeah, and which caused a global
Yeah.
pandemic.
Yeah.
You trust them to make your aspirin?
No.
No.
No. I don't trust them to make my Oreo cookies in Mexico, truth be known.
Yeah, yeah.
Although I don't eat them anymore. But, they took that Nabisco out of the United States, took it down to Mexico, and Trump had stopped them once. But, after the administration changed, they're back in Mexico. If you read somewhere where our food is processed, I don't buy it.
I don't. I read packaging now.
Yes.
Do you know Starkist is the only tuna that I found with the American flag on it?
Really?
Everything else
Not
is
Bumblebee?
no. Read the label.
I'll have to check that.
Read the
'cause
label.
I had been.
It's all down in the South Pacific. Something else. They catch the salmon or whatever up in Norway. They load everything onto the ship, and the ship goes to the airport, and the plane goes to Taiwan or Korea, and they clean the fish and they package the fish and send it back to the United States for sale. This is what, and when they say price gouging at the market, it's not the market.
Right.
Their markup is so low.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
and we could do a whole other show
Yeah.
on the economy. But the markup is minimal,
Yeah.
and being a retailer,
You know.
pricing my afternoon tea, pricing my gift items. You can't keystone anymore. Keystone is like if you buy it for 5, you sell it for 10.
Yeah.
Now people are having to do, because the price has increased because of the travel to
Yes.
get to you,
Yeah.
or to get to them from the manufacturer to the distributor, and it's crazy out there. You can't. You have to wait for a bargain. I was up at
Yes.
Market Basket, and there were people at the little discount rack for the bakery.
Right.
For the
Yes.
yeah.
You know, I now go to Market Basket. I now go to Market Basket because they have so many things on sale. You can at least go through there and not feel like you're spending.
Right.
I mean, there's 2 of us. There's only 2 of us. We spend every week $140.
Yeah.
There's 2 of us.
Yeah, yeah. I can see that, because I went to Market Basket today and I
Yeah.
spent 32.
We don't buy soda. We don't buy ice cream. We don't buy cookies.
Yeah, I don't either.
We don't. And then if we have a big lunch, we don't have a big dinner.
Yeah.
I mean, $140 to $150. It used to be about $75, $80.
Yeah.
That's unbelievable. That's unbelievable. It's
You know what I found, though?
unacceptable.
Ginny, if I go to Market Basket and I get the little dinners,
Yeah.
I can get 2 meals out of that. And then every week they have a sub on sale.
Really?
And I can't eat a whole sub in one day.
Yeah, so it's 2
that's
days.
like two days.
All right, I could do that, but you've met my husband.
And so, all guys.
Yeah.
But see, that's where I'm finding that being one person, it's hard to cook for one. So you're buying all these things, and you end up spending $35, $40, and by the time you're making, look at the recipes. They're for 4 people.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's true.
Oh my gosh, we can laugh about it, but
It is.
we
it
have some
is.
serious stuff going on.
serious, yeah.
And before November 5th, I
And we
mean,
haven't talked about the gasoline. We haven't talked about the gasoline, the crime of this country, and there's 1 minute. So,
talk, Jenny.
well, here's my thing. The border represents so much to me because you cannot look at the news or go on social media and see 2 things. People are being murdered every day, and they're not necessarily from the people that come here that want to work desperately. They want to improve their life for their family. That's not who's murdering them. It's the people they're pushing out of jail, pushing out of mental health facilities that are violent criminals. They're coming here unchecked. Neither Sally nor I want to keep immigrants out of this country. We both are keenly aware the importance of people that come here legally.
Our grandparents.
Our grandparents,
Yeah.
number one.
And can I say one thing?
Real quick.
You never leave your door unlocked and then go to bed.
Right.
You don't leave your first
That's
floor
right.
windows
Unlocked.
open, and go to bed.
That's right.
Think about that.
Think about that.
And children are dying, and people are dying.
It's awful.
It's horrible.
Yeah. So thanks. We'll
Thank
do this
you.
again, and we're wrapping
Thank
up.
you.
Thank you.
Went by so fast as usual.
And I'm looking at this thing.